know if you actually.
Right. All right. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the September 5 Landmark Preservation Commission meeting. My name is Julie Johnson. I am the chairperson of the commission, and we always begin every meeting with introductions. Erica, would you like to start?
Yeah, my name is Erica Warzel. I'm an architectural historian and preservation consultant, and I was nominated by the community at large.
Hi, my name is Nick Pusianis. I'm an architect and a developer, and I was nominated by the American Institute of Architects.
Hello, my name is Gary Petrie, and I'm an architect, and I was nominated by the Denver Planning Board.
And I'm Julie Johnson. I'm a historic preservation project manager, and I was nominated by the community at large. And
I'm Ann Rottenberg. I'm an architect nominated by the American Institute of Architects.
Hello, I'm Erin Hummel. I'm a landscape architect nominated by the American Society of Landscape Architects.
Graham Johnson, a preservation project manager nominated by the Denver Planning Board.
I'm Larry Sykes. I'm an architect nominated by History Colorado.
And I'm Brittany Bryant, Denver Landmark Preservation staff. And for the record, this meeting was called to order at 1 p.m.
oh, sorry. I'm a little jet lagged, so this might be an interesting meeting. All right. The first item on our agenda is the meeting records for approval. Did everybody have a chance to take a look? And if so, do you have any changes or recommendations?
I would just note that for the August 15th meeting, I think Nick was left off as one of the attending commissioners, so I would just have that.
Okay.
Thank you.
As a meeting. All right, anything else? All right, do I hear motion to approve the meeting records as amended?
So move.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Uh,
Opposed? All right, the meeting records have been approved as amended. Thank you very much. At the beginning of every meeting, we give audio tips for better sound quality. We strongly encourage you to download Zoom on your desktop, laptop, tablet, or mobile device. Click audio settings to bring up an additional menu. Add a background noise suppression. Test your speaker and microphone, adjust their maximum output volumes. For presenters or public commenters, when it is your turn to speak, let's see, to mute or unmute, click on the microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Expanding the menu next to the microphone will reveal additional options. Select your speaker and microphone devices. Test your microphone and speakers, adjust their maximum output volumes. And if you still have audio challenges, switch to a phone for audio. All right, then we will go on to the public comment period where we reserve time at the beginning of the meeting for anyone in the public, either virtually or with us in person today, to comment about historic preservation in the city in general. That is not related to any of our projects coming forward in the agenda, but just in historic preservation in general. And you would be given 2 minutes to make a comment. If you're joining by phone, please dial *9 on your keypad to raise your hand or email landmark@denvergov.org. Your name, phone number, and which topic you would like to speak. Do we have anybody? No, nobody. Okay, great. All right, then let's go on to our consent agenda. These are routine design review items which meet the design and guidelines and are recommended for commission approval without discussion. Any commission member can request that an item on the consent agenda move to the design review agenda. And today we have just one on the consent agenda, and that's 2023-COA-317 at 2017 East Park Place in East Park Place District. Commissioners, do you have any questions and any concerns about? All right. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Graham. Do I hear a second? Larry, thank you for seconding. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, nay? All right, it passes unanimously. And if you were with us virtually or in person for 2017 East Park Place, You are free to leave the meeting at this point. Your project has been approved. You're also welcome to stay with us if you wish. But if you've got other things to do today, we totally get it. All right, so moving on to the public hearing, we have a recommendation before us to set a public hearing for October 3rd for 361 Lafayette Street, this project 2023-L-242. Do I hear a motion from the commissioners to set said public hearing?
Madam Chair, I move to set a public hearing for the demolition application, item 2023-LMDEMO 242 at 361 Lafayette Street in the Country Club District for October 3rd, 2023.
Thank you, Gary. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Aaron, thank you for seconding. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is approved unanimously. We will set the public hearing for that project for October 3rd. All righty then, we are on to design review process. The chair will announce the design review items on the agenda in order by address. Commission members announce any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest. Staff will introduce the application and recommendation. Commissioners can question the staff at that point. The application presentation is limited to 10 minutes. Commissioners may question the applicant. Public comment period is limited to two minutes per person. And if any of you are listening here in person, if you'd like to speak regarding a specific project and you are not part of that applicant team, if you're joining us virtually, please click the hand raise button. For those calling via phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, or email landmark@denvergov.org prior to the public comment period. At this point, staff will have a chance to clarify if necessary. The commission will deliberate, and the commission will make a motion and vote. And our first project is, let's see, 2023-COA-237 at 2670 Larimer Street, Sacred Heart Church. And that's Bridget.
We're just recommending a continuance to September 19th, 2023, as this application was continued to a date certain, which is today. But we don't have the application materials ready for you guys to review.
Fair enough. Do we need to vote on that or
You need to make a motion.
Okay.
And vote.
all right?
Madam
Thank you.
Chair,
Do I-
Just jump in and say that's one that we're reviewing. I think myself, since we're continuing, that is to abstain.
You can vote.
Okay.
All right, then do I hear a motion on continuing this to September 19th?
I'll make a motion to continue project number 2023-COA-237 at 2760 Larimer Street to the September 19th meeting.
Thank you, Erica. Do I hear a second? Gary, thank you for seconding. All in favor, aye?
Bye.
All opposed, nay? Great, we will continue 2023-COA-237 to September 19, 2023. Our next project is 2023-COA-315 at 228 Race Street in the Country Club District, and our staff person is Jesse. Jesse, take it away.
All right. Are you gonna work the slides?
You know, I've given you remote control. Let me know if it works.
Okay, will do. Okay, so this is 228 Race Street. It's located in the Country Club Historic District. It was constructed or the main part of the house was constructed in 1927, and there are additions from 1965 and 1990 on the sides and back of the house. The applicant is proposing to partially demolish the existing non-historic rear additions, alter window openings on the non-historic additions, and construct a new addition, as well as relocate some windows and replace some non-historic windows. Nope. So the house currently has two side/rear additions that date to 1965 and 1990. You can see in the site map or site plan the location and size of those additions, as well as the proposed addition. So the applicant is requesting to partially demolish some of those non-historic additions and construct a new side and rear addition that will be 2 to 1 stories in height. The 2-story portion of the addition will step out from the side of the non-historic addition on the south side of the building, 3 feet at the first bump out, and then another 3 foot 6 inches approximately at the second bump out. And if I could show you my mouse, I would show you where those bump outs are. But we'll go to the next slide. The overall footprint of the proposed addition is 90 feet 4¼ inch by 38 feet 4 inches, and that includes an attached garage. So it does sound like it's quite large, but it does include an attached garage. And here's pictured here is the basement plan as well as the first floor plan. Next slide. And then here's the second floor plan as well. Next slide. So here is a picture of the proposed, existing and proposed west elevation. The applicant is requesting to relocate historic doors, a historic door and 2 historic windows from the back of the house to the front of the house on the non-historic side additions. And you can see that here in the proposed, they're notated on that side wing there. They're also requesting to add a light well and basement windows. These will be below grade and not readily visible from the public vantage points, even though they are on the front of the house. Next slide. And here is the existing and proposed south elevations. The 2-story portion of the addition will have a varied roof form composed of several gables that tie into a flat roof. The addition steps down to a 1-story on the east or rear elevation. The south side of the 1-story addition will have 2 openings with railings in them. The applicant will need to provide additional details on the proposed railings before we can issue a COA. The addition will feature light wells and basement windows on the south elevation. Staff did initially have concerns over the size of the light wells on this elevation. However, the light wells are at the basement level below grade and will not be readily visible from public vantage points, but we did want to point that concern out to you all. And then finally, on the south elevation, the applicant is proposing to alter the size of 2 window openings on the second floor of the south elevation to meet egress. And this again is on that non-historic addition to the side. Next slide. Here's the existing and proposed east elevations. The 1-story portion of the addition will feature a recessed porch supported by wood columns with a decorative step detail at the top. The addition will also include an attached gable roof garage on the northeast corner. The addition's roofs will be clad in clay tile to match the existing house. The applicant will need to provide a cut sheet or additional information on the proposed tile so that we can ensure a close match to the existing tile roof. Also on this elevation will be an addition of a bay window with a hip roof. That roof will be clad in folded seam copper roofing material. And this bay is located on the north wing of the house. And then finally, the east elevation of the north wing is proposing to alter a door into a 3-part casement window opening to match the layout and appearance of other casement windows on the house. Staff wasn't too concerned about this as this wing appears to have been significantly altered and the proposed alteration is on the back of the house. Oh, did it not download all of my slides? Okay. I was sweating for a second. Okay. And there's a close-up of that bay window. Staff will need some additional information on this. It does say that it's going to be wood paneling, but we do need additional information, maybe a section drawing to clearly show how that bay will be integrated into the building. Next slide. Pictured here is the existing and proposed north elevation. The north elevation of the new addition will have a bay and another bay window to match the bay window on the east elevation of the north wing. Both bays will be clad in a smooth finish wood paneling. The applicant will need to provide, again, additional information on that paneling. Maybe a detail would be helpful there. The addition will have aluminum clad. The overall addition will have aluminum clad wood casement style windows with simulated divided lights and spacer bars that match the appearance of existing historic windows on the building. The new windows will be inset into the wall the same depth as the existing historic windows to maintain continuity between the addition and the original house. The addition doors will be wood quarter light doors as well as wood French style doors. And the garage doors will feature custom clear cedar doors on the west elevation and steel panel door on the east elevation. All divided light doors, again, will be simulated divided lights with a spacer bar. The addition will also feature simple lantern style lights. We do not have a cut sheet for that, so we will need that before we can issue a COA. And then finally, the applicant is proposing a brick trash enclosure on the north side of the house. The trash enclosure will have doors that will be custom clear cedar wood doors. And then I left out one part on this north elevation here. The applicant is also proposing to enlarge a second floor window opening on the second floor. And they're going to alter that into paired casement windows. And we'll be adding 2 new casement windows to the second floor north elevation of the north wing. Next slide. Aside from the addition, the applicant will be replacing 3 non-historic windows. 2 of the windows to be replaced are on the front of the house at the basement level, and those are labeled as windows 1 and 2 in the site plans. And then the third window is window 16, and it's located on the first floor of the south elevation. The applicant will need to provide additional information on these windows as they don't quite match up with their window and door schedule shown in this slide. So we'll just need some additional clarification. So staff is recommending approval of this application with the following condition: that the applicant provide additional details for the proposed replacement windows, the roof tile, the bay paneling, porch railings, and light fixtures, citing guidelines 3.6, 3.8, and 5.18.
Great, thank you, Jesse.
Sure.
Commissioners, do you have any questions, Jesse?
I do have one. I know you said in the staff report, Jesse, that the addition in the new garage fit within the lot coverage, but do we have a number?
That would be a good question to ask the applicant. They probably could give you a better, more clear percentage of what's being added.
And I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I correct that this is a non-contributing structure?
So Country Club does not call out contributing or non-contributing structures, and they don't have a period of significance either. This was constructed, the main body of the house was constructed in 1928, I believe. So, and there were some additions to the sides of the building. So
So they do have a period of significance in their adopted design guidelines. And let me look at that right now. It's up to 1945, I believe, so, yeah, 1902 to 1945. And that's in their design guidelines.
I stand corrected.
Does that make the main portion of this contributing because it was 1927?
So they aren't asking for a consideration as to whether or not this is contributing or non-contributing today.
I'm sorry.
The main body constructed in 1928. would be considered contributing. However, there have been significant alterations, and if you wanted to make a determination as to whether that rendered the building non-contributing, the commission could have that discussion
You can't, you can only have that conversation
if they put in the application.
Got it.
Commissioners, any other questions? Okay, Jesse, thank you very much. All right, so our applicants have 10 minutes. And please begin at 10 minutes with your name and address for our record.
Here.
Hi, good morning. My name's Kristen Park, 4111 East 18th Avenue in Denver. Thanks, Jesse. And as usual, she is very thorough. Just to answer your questions, we are at 37% lot coverage. And if I can walk up here and show you, this is in discussion. This is the main portion of the house right here. That is from 1927. This is a later addition. This portion is revised, but this is a later addition as well. And this was the original garage with the garage driveway coming in through here. One other clarification I'd like to make is our intent is to have the Marvin Ultimate wood windows. So I'll clarify that with Jesse later. So thank you. Now I'm going to pass it on to the homeowners.
Thank you. So good afternoon, members of the Denver Landmark Commission. My name is Jim Crawford. I'm joined here with my wife, Megan Crawford, as the occupants of 228 Ray Street. Our family has lived in the home since 2019 and lived in the neighborhood for over a decade now. We have 3 children, and they've spent their entire lives in the neighborhood. Are lucky enough to have many other family members all in the immediate area inside the neighborhood. We're in love with the neighborhood's historic charm and the presence within the community, and share our fellow neighbors' pride in preserving that historic charm. When evaluating our renovation needs, it was important to us that we maintain the historic design elements that made us fall in love with our home. We knew we needed to work with an architect who understood and appreciated those same elements, and we were fortunate enough to partner with Kristen Park, who I believe the commission members know very well. Kristen has been designing and renovating historic homes in and around Denver for 20 plus years and has been an absolute pleasure to work with. She was able to design a comprehensive plan that meets the demanding needs of our young, growing family without compromising any of those historic design elements that make this property so special. Thank you for your continued service and dedication to historic preservation of Denver, and specifically want to thank you for your time and consideration of our design plan. Thank you.
Sweet. All right. Commissioners, have you any questions for the applicants? Okay, well done. We will go on to public comments then. Taylor, is there anybody from the public? Anyone here who would like to speak about this project? Okay. Is there anyone virtually joining us that would like to speak? Raise your little hands. Computer? No, okay.
Other person. Virtually is cute.
Oh, okay, thank you. It's like, okay, terrific. Then you all are, you can go back and take your seats if you'd like to.
Thank you.
Commission, let's go ahead and go into deliberation then. Have no other questions. What are your thoughts on this project? Call on somebody.
I think, yeah, it's straightforward. We meets the guidelines, as far as I can see, and, yeah, just those from staff report. Yeah. Agree with, yeah, just providing some information, but it seems pretty clear.
Yeah.
What the intent is for that.
Any other thoughts?
I will point out that the 37% lot coverage is slightly over what the guidelines for country club recommends. B3 in the state over 30% lot coverage disrupts the character of the district. So I'm just throwing that out there, that's. I guess I'll also say that slightly concerned about the oriel or bay windows, in that I feel like they are. Country club is always an interesting animal to deal with because we have a much more kind of rigid look of fitting in and not looking as contemporary. I think my slight concern was that these bays slightly change the architectural style. They don't quite fit in with what is original as the house, but they are at the back. So just throwing out some thoughts.
Thank you. Other thoughts?
Interesting reading the additions over time here.
Yeah.
This sort of asymmetrical garage, and then the symmetry, which reads nicely down. So I think staff's analysis and again, that primarily rear addition and country clubs block coverage being a guideline versus a zoning requirement. You know, I feel comfortable with staff's report as well.
All right. Any other thoughts, commissioners? Then do I hear a motion from the floor?
Madam Chair, I will make a motion. Let's scroll down to it. I move to conditionally approve application 2023 COA 315 for the addition and window alterations in 228 Race Street per design guideline 3.6, 3.8, 5.18, presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided in the staff report with the following condition. That the applicant provide additional details about proposed replacement windows, roof tile, bay paneling, porch railings, and light fixtures.
Graham, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Aaron, thank you for seconding. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, this has been unanimously approved and you all can work with it's Jesse on the conditions. Yeah, congratulations. All righty, then we are moving on to 2023 COA 319 at 435 Westwood Drive, also in the district, and that is Brittany's project.
So our next application is for phase 1 mass form and context review for new infill project within the Country Club Historic District. This is the existing lot and home on the property. The commission has approved that structure for demolition. And it was approved by the commission in 2021. So it will replace the structure on your screen. No change to the existing lot. So here is the Country Club Historic District. This is the streetscape. This is a curved lot, so doing a traditional streetscape for this one is a bit difficult, but we do have a lot of Tudors and colonial revivals in this area of Country Club. This particular infill structure will have a footprint of 111 feet, 8 inches across the street frontage by 48 feet at its widest point, which is the measurement on this, what I would call the south side of the property. But it's essentially this portion of the property here, but that is its greatest step. The entirety of the structure is located in the front 65 of the lot, and none in the rear 35, as you can see on the site plan here. In terms of lot coverage for this particular property, it does meet the Country Club design guidelines because the lot is very, very large, even though this is a very large home. But the lot size and the building footprint is very similar to some of the structures you see in this neighborhood, particularly this specific subdivision of Country Club and a recent infill structure that commission approved which is 101 Race Street, which is nearing completion currently. So here is the proposed floor plans. We have the basement level, the ground floor, and the second floor. This home does have dormers in the attic space, but the attic space will not be habitable. So we don't have that in plan here, but there will be a garage located on the south. It is a 3-car garage. The primary entrance will be located on the main massing in the center. And then it is a colonial revival style home, so it does have side wing elements to it with that attached garage. Here is the front facade elevation. So again, significant amount of frontage along the street front, but the massing has been broken down into smaller, more digestible units. And this is a colonial revival style structure. So it is very symmetrical in design. It does have a 3-part design with that attached garage, which is a forward-facing gable. It does have a nested design, which staff feel helps break down the massing of that garage unit. We would like to point out that staff did struggle with that forward-facing gable, but ultimately we felt it related to the existing structure and the colonial revival style architecture. And are comfortable with recommending it. The main unit, although it's not going to be reviewed in this phase, will be clad in brick, and the side wings will have a change in siding, and then the garage will be clad in brick too, which we also feel helps break down the massing visually for this structure, as it is quite large. The Country Club design guidelines do recommend that the primary ridge of a structure not exceed 40 feet in width. This particular structure has a primary ridge line of 53 feet, 10 inches. So it is not complying with that design guideline specifically, but the guideline also says that the overall massing can be broken down with dormers, and the structure does have 3 dormers, as you can see. That does help break down that ridge length. Additionally, the applicant has provided context photos and compatibility demonstrations that show that not all of the structures within the Country Club Historic District have a ridge length of less than 40 feet along the frontage. So we did want to point that out. We also feel that the chimneys at each end of the roof do help break down that ridge length. This is the rear of the structure. Again, very symmetrical massing, some shifts in massing to help break it down. There will be an outdoor open enclosed space on the garage wing, which you can see on this portion of the massing. So that is an open outdoor space there. This is the, I guess what we would call the northwest elevation of the structure. This will be a shift in massing, and then you have the double chimneys that helps break down that roof form, and that will be clad in a different material that we'll look at more closely in the phase 2. But it is designed to have more of the appearance of a sunroom, similar to the colonial revival style that is very popular in this district and along East 7th Avenue, where you see this style a lot in Denver. This is the east-south portion of the structure. This is where the garage is located. So the existing structure does have a curb cut off of Westwood Drive. The curb cut will be maintained, and the existing structure also has a 3-car garage. So the applicant is proposing a new 3-car garage with separate bays. The major difference here is that it will have habitable space on the 2nd floor for this unit, and then it will transition into a outdoor living space that has a solid wall along this elevation that you can see here, this elevation. So in terms of compatibility, the applicant has studied the surrounding historic context, and again, the colonial revival style is very popular within the Country Club Historic District. The top 4 images are all colonial revival style structures within the district. The pitches of the roofs do vary for the colonial revival style. Some of them have steeper pitch roofs with more pronounced dormers. Some of them have a shallower pitch, but generally speaking, dormers are seen, and they do help break down that ridge line. And then the applicant has provided 2 examples of structures within the Country Club Historic District that have a ridge line of over 40 feet, which are the bottom 2 images. These are Jacques Benedict designed homes, which Jacques Benedict is a prominent architect and known architect here in Denver. So, you know, take that as you will, as it may be difficult to compare a Jacques Benedict to a new infill structure, but staff are not particularly troubled by the ridge length, even though it is a little atypical because this lot is so large, which is a very, very large lot. And Country Club does describe this specific subdivision. The design guidelines do describe it as very large houses on very large lots. So we do feel that although it's not exactly meeting that design guideline for this particular lot and placement within the district, that ridge form is not negatively impacting the surrounding context. So here are some renderings of the structure. It will have a walkway to the front door. We would ask for additional details on any of the site plans in the phase 2 design details, because the Country Club design guidelines also talk about differentiating the driveway from the walkway. They don't appear to be currently differentiated, although they are currently both concrete, so they may stay that way. But that's something we look at in the phase 2 design details. And then I just have one more rendering of the back of the house, so you can kind of see that outdoor space. So we are recommending approval of the phase 1 mass form and context, as we feel that this home is very typical of the Country Club Historic District in terms of placement on the lot, overall building footprint, and the style is compatible with the surrounding context.
Brittany, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Brittany?
Question, about that last comment about the driveway. I know that's not pertinent to this per se, but when those guidelines say to differentiate, do they mean specifically in terms of like materials and detailing, or do they just mean not to have like kind of combined driveway entryway?
They are not super specific in that they are separate currently, and they are going to maintain the existing curb cut. So I think that's up for you as the commission to decide if that's enough differentiation.
Okay. Other questions for Brittany? Doesn't look like it. Okay, Brittany, thank you. All right, the applicants, yeah, go ahead, come forward. You'll have 10 minutes to speak, as Kristen knows. And please repeat your name and address.
And then don't start until I can get the timer up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Right, anytime.
Hi, Kristen Park, 4111 East 18th Avenue in Denver. And again, thank you, Brittany. We've been working together on this project for quite a while now. And we feel like the staff has put us in a direction that you guys will see is approved by our guidelines. And I don't really have a whole lot more to say because Brittany did such a good job.
Good afternoon, staff and landmark commissioners. My name is Denny Coughlin. I reside at 435 Westwood Drive. We are the owner of the home. My wife and I, unfortunately, she's not here today dealing with young kids. We have 3 young kids. We've lived in the house for the last 2 years. We absolutely love the neighborhood, the historic charm and the character of it. And we're very excited to present this to you. As Kristen has alluded, we spent an awful lot of time. This is about version 6.0. So Brittany, thank you. You've had an unbelievable amount of patience and a lot of direction and input, and we're grateful for that. But we would be ecstatic to be able to take on this project. It's something that we're very passionate about. We've been working on for a long time. You talk about the context photos and the compatibility study. My wife has probably been called by the police by 12 times going out and taking pictures of everyone's neighborhood. And thank you for all their patience, but we're excited about it. As I said, this is about version 6.0. We think that it is true to the character of the neighborhood and the charm. And we're very excited to present it to you. So with that said, we're happy to answer questions, but I don't have a lot more to add than Kristen's packet.
So thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicants?
I just have one question. Maybe maybe you know, not that, how high are the dormer windows above the attic floor? They look a little bit high. You know,
Okay, computer not turning on. Oh, here we go, here we go. If you just give me a minute, if you guys want to ask any other questions while I try to. pull
Anybody
this
else
up.
have another question?
Yeah, but what is the actual ridge line elevation of the main body of the house?
The
I just see
actual,
the envelope. but
Yeah,
no
it
dimensions
is.
on that or notes.
it is, hang on a second, I'll tell you.
It's 31 feet. For the top of the July.
Is it in the submittal?
I have 30. I believe it's 34, Brittany. Let me, I'm guessing it's someplace on here. I think it's on sheet 6. It is noted on sheet 6 and, probably some other places as well. The dormers. The dormers are 2'6" off of the finished floor.
okay, thank you.
And do you have a section through the main body of the house or just the wings?
Just the wings at this time for the form and mass meeting.
We don't typically require a section through a single family. We do multi-family, but not always for single family.
Any other questions? No? Nick, did that answer your question?
I still don't see the elevation on drawing 6, a note.
It's on the left side.
And I don't know if it's-
Oh, it might have gotten cut on the. Oh.
Yeah.
No, drawing 1/6. Yeah.
Here, I mean, you can add these two, but my eyes aren't good enough to.
A6?
It's, if I say it a different way, we are from the bulk plane, we are 8 inches below it. 8.5.
And that's, so the bottom datum that drives the top datum in the bulk plane diagram that you have there in red.
Correct, the
The
red,
bottom is dictated by the mean or the average elevation of the lot.
yeah, the front base plane elevation, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All righty, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, public comments. Do we have anybody here in person? Is that are there any anybody online that wants to comment? Taylor? Okay, great. Then since we don't have any public comments, any formal public comments, thank you. We will go ahead and go into deliberation unless Brittany, you had any additional comments you wanted to make before we do so?
I do not have any additional wrap up.
All right, then commissioners, let's go into deliberation. What do we think about this?
I can start. Just with my thoughts. I generally agree with staff. And support the project. The one question I have, it all stems from that main ridge line in the main body of the house. And the way the dormers meet it, I just look at all of the examples given by the applicant as precedent. And it seems to me that all those roof slopes are more shallow. Creating less of a wall on that sort of third floor than is created by this house. I just pointed out and I'm wondering what other people feel, our commissioners feel about that. And then especially when you look at the length of the ridge line and the precedent that's given for those roofs are most definitely more shallow. Hip style, shingle style roofs. So I would say that this presents for the neighborhood a pretty grand edifice, especially when compared to its neighbors, as I do walk by this quite frequently. But that's just my initial thought.
Thoughts?
This building on that, that was kind of related to my question of the dormer. It felt like placement of those dormers within the plane of the roof felt like fairly high, but to hear that it's only 30 inches off. Or makes a lot of functional sense, so I don't want to object to it on that front. Yeah, I think that although I do agree that it feels like a larger amount of the roof, it also feels like looking at the side elevations, that if it were any shallower, it wouldn't quite feel like an appropriate colonial revival approach. It's already like 6 or 8, 12 inch. And it starts to like 4 that feels more like 50 suburbia, not directly. So
It's interesting. Other comments? Anne? Like you're,
No, I sort of agree. It looks to me as if from the cornice line to the ridge is about 14 feet or more for an unoccupied space, which seems kind of excessive. But I also think that there is a scale to the whole project, so that's the scale of the project.
so you're okay with it as presented?
As I said, I think the project is of a piece. The whole project is quite large.
It's a lot of windows to watch. Other thoughts? Gary? Erica?
I guess I'd just add that I shared staff's initial concern about the nested tables at the garage side, but I can see how, that helps bring up that expanse. So I don't have anything that's, I think overall it meets the guidelines. So I don't.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, it's a large building in a historic district that has other large buildings, and I think, despite its size, its character fits. I think it meets the guidelines. The proportion, the location of the dormers relative to the ridge is a little awkward. But when you look at the building in perspective, I don't think it's necessarily a problem.
I think one of the things that this project and actually the one before it also brings up is that in this neighborhood, it seems to me the projects we're seeing are getting larger and larger, and that becomes the community standard. And so it's just a little, because Country Club is its own, they have their own guidelines, and those guidelines come before, as I understand it, those guidelines come before the typical guidelines we have. It's just a little hard to look at it because this, I feel like the next one we see is going to use this one as the model and be even larger. And so that, as we're going in, we're just seeing larger and larger houses.
It's an observation.
It's just an observation because it's a little bit difficult to look at.
All right, Graham, Aaron, any thoughts?
I agree with Gary. I mean, I think that especially in this part of the district where you have the bigger lots on a certain drive, and
It's a big lot.
it is a big lot. So, proportionally, and this being massive form, I think seeing the details and starting to see some of that in the renderings will be
Right.
something that we're eager to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, then do I hear a motion from the commission?
I'll move to approve the application number 2023-COA-319 for new construction phase 1 mass form and process review at 435 Westwood Drive as per Country Club design guidelines B1 through B6, B1 through B5, F1, F3, and Denver Landmark design guidelines 4.1, 4.3, 4.6, 4.8. Character defining features for Country Club Historic District, for that testimony extended on taking the information provided in the staff report.
Larry, thank you. Do I hear a second? Graham has seconded that. Then let's take a vote. All in favor of the motion, aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, it has been unanimously approved. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, let us go on then to our next and final design review project is 2023-COA-316 at 2735 Curtis Street in Curtis Park. And the staff person is again, Brittany. Take it away, Brittany.
I'm so good.
Yeah.
A lot. So our next project is for an accessory dwelling unit at 2735 Curtis Street in the Curtis Park Historic District. And also an administrative adjustment for a new rear deck and side stoop for the primary structure. So here you can see an aerial view of the image. It's difficult to tell, but there is an existing non-historic garage that will need to be demolished. And then the primary structure work again is focused at the rear with a new rear deck and side stoop for an existing historic door opening. So here is the existing and proposed site plan. So the applicant is proposing to demolish the existing wraparound deck and replace it with a new rear deck and side stoop that will no longer wrap. The new side stoop is within the side setback for this property. Staff are supportive for an administrative adjustment for this new stoop because there is a historic door opening at this location and that stoop allows access to that historic door location. So we feel that this violation is appropriate for the side setback for the new stoop on the north elevation, which you can see here. It's very small in footprint. It's actually smaller than the existing. And then the new rear deck is also going to be smaller than the existing. It does not need any administrative adjustments. Normally we would review that administratively. However, with the administrative adjustment that is needed for the side porch, we are bringing that forward. But this is the existing garage that will be demolished, and then the new proposed ADU, which is located principally behind the primary structure. It does stick out just a tiny bit on the south side, but it will be minimally visible from the public right away. So the proposed ADU will have a single bay opening on the alley, and it will be for a two-car garage. It will have an internal stair that will allow access to the habitable space on the second floor, which is a studio type space with a living, a bedroom, a kitchen all together. And the proposal will have a flat roof with an AC mini split located on the roof, which is the non-shaded area that you see on the roof plan here. So here is the proposed ADU. The primary structure is a flat roof Italianate, and this is also a flat roof Italianate style ADU. The primary structure has a very elaborate cornice design. This will have a very simplified cornice design on it and a stepped parapet towards the alley. The structure is simple in design. It will have double hung 1/1 windows with flat jack arch. All the windows are aluminum clad wood, and the roofing material is TPO. The brick is salvage brick from Mendoza. It's noted to match the existing house, so I assume that means that it will be painted as the existing house is painted, but that's not entirely clear in the submittal. However, we don't review paint, so I did not ask for additional information on that. The light fixture is a simple fixture. It is a historic replica, but staff don't find it overly replicative, and it's clearly evident that it's a modern fixture. The windows on the ground floor will be fixed windows, and all windows do need to be confirmed that they will be inset into the wall plane, as this is brick construction. I am assuming that is the case. And the renderings of this project do show that, but I don't necessarily have a section that shows that. So I am recommending conditional approval on this application with just that confirmation. So here are some renderings of the proposed structure. Generally speaking, it is compatible with the surrounding historic context. It does have a horizontal band to break up the vertical massing and a stepped parapet design. And has fiberglass composite with quarter light man doors, and then this carriage style door with lights on top. So staff are recommending approval just with two simple conditions on this one, and that is a condition that the window section be provided, confirming that the windows are inset into the wall plane, and our guidelines do require at least 2 inches from the upper sash of a double hung window. And then that a larger light be used on the door, and the finish for those fiberglass doors just be painted, as opposed to a photo wood stain that the applicant is proposing, which is something we just normally handle administratively, but as this is coming before the commission, we are recommending that. Okay.
Alrighty, any questions for Brittany? Commissioners?
Questions. One, the condensing unit, was that for reasons of the side setbacks or just reference to the applicant?
You would have to ask the applicant that.
And then does that have any concerns about that string course, given that it looks like the structure doesn't have a string course?
Yeah, we did debate this. I don't have major concerns. It's a very simple design in general. Got flat jack arches. It's not overly elaborate like we sometimes see. And it does help break up the massing. And I do know that the Curtis Park Historic District also likes those string courses. We probably recommended it, but I cannot remember as I've had this project for over 2 years now.
Any other questions for Brittany? Commissioners? Okay, then it's time for the applicants to speak. If you'd like to come up, you'll have 10 minutes to talk about the project. And please start with that 10 minutes with your name and address for our record.
I'm gonna turn on.
No. Okay, I am Rachel Lee. I am the owner of 2735 Curtis, the house we all love and adore. The one that, yeah, when I took my 2-day-old child, one of the exterior walls fell, and we have rebuilt her to be the toughest standing around for the next 300 years for the next cuties. That's us. My husband and I love it. We just wanted to make an ADU. Basically, it's going to be his office, or when one of us is in trouble, to go sleep out there. Maybe the kid, he might be 16 when we move in, so he can sleep out there too. But we think it's beautiful. I would love to, personally, I feel like a horse would rather have exited through a wood door than a painted door. I don't know. I mean, that's just me. I think it's beautiful. The side step with the servant entrance, I love and adore. The door is still original. It's been taken care of. She's beautiful. So that's really important to me too. Hope you like her. Come by, maybe. You never know. This is Bud and Missy. They're my dream team. And you can have a cocktail when it's all done. We're getting there though. So hope you like it just as much as we do.
So I am Missy Brown, the designer of the ADU. And I guess I'll just say a couple quick things. Our main goal was to have the ADU compatible with the main house and the historic architecture of the neighborhood. So we are replicating the painted brick on the ADU and matching the windows of the main house, both with material and style and size. We went narrow and tall to match the main house. The detail we were just hoping was also compatible with the neighborhood. And yes, we are definitely intending to set back the windows, the minimum of 2 inches. And I'll provide that, Brittany, in a section. And lastly, I just wanted to say, I apologize that Brittany, you had pointed out the door image that I put on A4 does not match the elevations. So our intent is to do what, we would love to do the wood look with the 2 vertical panels below, but we're happy to take out the divided mullions on the upper part as you suggested. So I think that's it. Bud, do you have anything to add? He's our wonderful builder who has put this home back together.
Oh, man. Ask me for pictures afterwards. You want to be reminded. Yeah, so. That's
All
it.
right,
Kept her.
all right.
You kept her.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicants? Okay, great. Then,
Go.
yeah, we will go on to see if there are any public comments. I'm guessing we have somebody online. There's nobody here in person. Do we have Keith virtually?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Keith. Name and
Hi.
address for records. Hi.
Yeah, Keith Pryor, 2418 Champa Street, Curtis Park Design Review Chair. The applicant, Rachel, has just been amazing to work with on this whole project. We've really appreciated everything that she's put forth. And her team definitely listened to our comments about making the windows taller and narrower, giving the ADU some additional height to make it work, as well as stepping it down. To one of the commissioner's questions, yes, we do support the banding. We feel that it does break up the massing and that is very common design element within Curtis Park. And so we're very supportive of that. And we definitely feel the other brick detailing works well. It is simplified compared to the main house, but it does fit within the district and it is a nice detail, as many of our carriage houses have. So we're very much in full support of this project and we ask the commission to support it as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Keith. Do we have anybody else, Taylor? Anyone else lined up? to make a comment? No other hands raised? All right, then we will close the public comment and commissioners will go on into deliberation then. What do you think?
To me, it's pretty straightforward, I suppose.
I do.
I see a lot of nodding heads. Okay.
I'd like to commend the applicant because I think the detailing is really appropriate. And it's nice to see it on, a structure that's actually on the back of the house. So I would say well done.
Thank
All
you.
right.
In the detail.
I guess we should probably discuss the wood versus the paint, since that's what we requested.
Yeah, so just for clarification, when it's a fiberglass door, we usually request those to be painted and not stained to have the faux wood finish. That I believe a fiberglass is proposed, but they could always change it. It's just a wood door, but those are significantly more expensive. So.
Well, and was it, I think we were
Budgeting on this project.
Yeah, I understand.
Is there
we're in
insurance?
deliberation
Can I
right
call
now,
them
so,
again?
So at any rate, do I hear a motion from the floor?
I can make the motion.
Thank you, Ann.
Madam Chair, I move to approve an administrative adjustment for the side setback encroachment, the ADU height and bulk plane encroachment, and the 1.9% overall lot coverage for, did I actually say may I start again?
You certainly may, Ann.
And this is concerning application number 2023-COA-316 at 2735 Curtis Street, Curtis Park. I move to conditionally approve an administrative adjustment for the side setback encroachment, the ADU height and bulk plane encroachment, and the 1.9% overage in the lot coverage for 12.4.5.2B of the Denver zoning code, and conditionally approve application period 2023-COA-316 for the new accessory dwelling unit, rear deck and side stoop at 2735 Curtis Street as per design guidelines 4.1, 4.8, 4.18 to 4.20, 5.6, 5.18, character defining features for the Curtis Park Historic District presented testimony and submitted documentation and information provided in the staff report with the following conditions. 1, provide a window section confirming the inset of the windows into the wall plane. And 2, use a larger light on the door and finish the fiberglass doors with paint instead of a faux wood grain stain.
Thank you, Anne.
Are we saying or submit a wood door?
We can have a second and then we can discuss.
Okay.
Second,
Okay, so do you want to discuss?
So we could always just approve it if they do a wood door, that's fine. And then also, you did say conditionally approve the administrative adjustment, but the LPC is now the deciding authority, so if I could get a friendly amendment. On that portion.
I would make a friendly amendment to remove the conditional part of the approval of the administrative adjustment.
I agree.
Do you accept?
And I
You
accept,
Okay. Both accept. All right, then let's go ahead and take a vote then. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It's unanimously approved. The administrative adjustment has been approved and it's been conditionally, approved. That project has been conditionally approved and you can work with Brittany on last details. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, have fun.
Come by.
Okay.
We almost have AC, almost.
Gotta come up.
That's good for, it's too hot for wine and no AC.
No, I understand that. Oh, all right. Well,
Thank you.
Absolutely. You have to come by and see the inside of this.
It's, she's
I'm
beauty.
serious. It's,
Well, I'm happy to hear this. I love when people love
she's,
this old house.
she's crazy beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Great day. All right, commissioners, we are
Yay,
now on
ADU.
to the business item process, and these are the items for the commission deliberation and voting. I'll introduce each business item. The staff will introduce the business item and the commissioners can question staff. We have a public comment period for 2 minutes per person. If you'd like to speak regarding the business item, please click the hand raise button. For those on the call, dial *9 to raise your hand or email mark@denver.org prior to the public comment period. Staff can clarify if necessary. The commission can deliberate. The commission will move and vote. Our first business item is here. Becca is here to present to us the Denver Nurses Home National Register nomination. Take it away.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commission. So in accordance with Colorado's Certified Local Government Program guidelines, nominations for National Register of Historic Places must be presented to the local Historic Preservation Commission, that's you all, for review and comment before they go to the state for their review and comments and being forwarded on to the National Register Review Board. So you'll be hearing 2 of these today. The first is for the nomination for Denver's Nurses Home. It's located at 871 Bel Air Street. This structure was built in 1924 and is the last surviving building on the University of Colorado's Health Sciences campus at 9th and Colorado. So according to the application, and staff agrees, that the Nurses Home is significant at a local level under criterion C for architecture as an exemplary example of the colonial revival style. Hallmarks of the style include brick masonry, symmetrical fenestration, 6/6 double hung windows, a central portico with classical columns and fan window, and other classical detailing such as coins and rosettes. The Nurses Home includes all of these stylistic elements. The Denver Nurses Home is also significant in the area of architecture as the work of our master architect, Maurice Bisco, and the Colorado firm of Fisher and Fisher. Maurice Bisco was responsible for, Maurice Bisco was responsible for a number of civic and institutional buildings in Denver, including the Dickinson Branch Library, which is also another local landmark, the Clayton School for Boys, another local landmark, and then some of the Colorado College buildings. Fisher and Fisher is a well-known firm here in Denver, being of brothers Arthur and William, Fisher. They were chosen to collaborate with Bisco on the design of the building, and cultivated by the firm's success with this health sciences campus, which included the nurses' home. Fisher and Fisher later began specializing in hospital design and received 2 awards in 1945 for the Modern Hospital Architectural Competition. But they've really begun their hospital design here at the nurses' home. So staff does agree with the nomination and agrees that the building is significant for its architecture and architect design. However, we do have a lot of comments on what we think might be missing from the application that we'd like to address with you today. So Landmark staff recommends that the nomination lists the nurses' home as eligible under B, history, and especially under social history and women's history, especially for its association with Martha Montague Russell, who served as the superintendent for the University of Colorado School of Nursing during the construction of the nurses' home. This was occurring at a time when the popular perception of nurses and their role in medicine was changing dramatically. They were moving from a caregiver role into something much more professional and technical. And Martha Montague Russell was really at the forefront of some of these conversations. In 1917, Russell was appointed chief nurse of the American Red Cross Commission in France, and she supervised the American Red Cross nurses working in France during World War I. She was one of the first 6 American nurses to receive the Florence Nightingale Medal in 1920. Russell oversaw the training school for nurses at the time in the post-World War I, and during the pandemic of 1918, when nursing was becoming a specialized profession. During her time as superintendent at Denver School or University of Colorado School of Nursing, she played an important role in the design of this building you see before you, including adding design details such as the fireplaces on the 2nd floor. She also proposed allowing married women to train as nurses, which was quite unusual at the time, as women were supposed to remain at home and care for their children. This idea, which was quite radical at the time, set her at odds with other university officials and contributed to her leaving the position and moving back to the East Coast in 1926. So while Landmark staff does acknowledge that National Register nominations only require meeting one criterion to be listed on the National Register, staff feels that leaving out the significance of Russell and her contributions to nursing fails to capture the full significance of the building. Furthermore, preservation as a field has long upheld architectural and aesthetic significance as being of primary importance, and in this instance, highlighting the role of men in the design and construction of the Denver's nursing home without formally designating the building for the role it played in women's history seems to be a missed opportunity, and one which does a disservice to our collective understanding of the wider historic context. As such, Landmark staff also recommends that the nomination list the Denver Nurses Home as eligible under criterion A, health and medicine, as the sole surviving building on the University of Colorado's Health Sciences Center campus. The campus, which once occupied 17 acres at 9th and Colorado, included a medical school, hospital, psychiatric hospital, nurses' home, and power plants. At the time of its opening in 1925, the facility was considered the greatest medical center between the Missouri River and the Pacific coast, which is a very interesting geographic boundary there. However, in 2007, the campus moved to the retired Fitzsimmons Army Base and was renamed the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus. The move of the University of Colorado's teaching hospital from Boulder to Denver and the introduction of a nursing program had a large impact on the medical field in Denver and Colorado on the whole. And this building is the sole surviving example of that entire campus. So while the campus has been moved to Aurora, the nurses' home remains in its original location in the heart of Denver and promotes an understanding of the city, both past and present. So while we are recommending that this nomination be forwarded to the keeper, we are suggesting some changes that are included in that motion.
Thank you, Becca.
Yeah, here's.
I do. If we move as recommended, that still gives the applicant the option to ignore your recommendation.
That's correct.
Can we strengthen that recommendation somehow, or is that sort of outside of our own?
I'm looking to Erica because she is the expert here.
No, conceivably, the comments from us and staff go to the review board, who have the ultimate, kind of say as to what should be included or not. So they may or may not agree, but ultimately, it's just a recommendation.
And I do believe Landmark staff are planning to attend that review board meeting, which is next Friday. And I'm not sure if they'll have an opportunity to comment, but I won't be there, but I can send someone in my stead.
Questions?
The other thing we could do is reject this recommendation until they improve their.
They could still just ignore this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So who is the applicant? Am I missing?
The applicant is the owner. No.
Oftentimes the owner is not for privacy. They think they have the-
Yes, yeah, do we know if there are any plans to do anything with this building in particular?
That's another place where, depending on where this comes back around, and, you know, as a vote, whether I abstain or refuse to.
Oh, that's excellent news, actually. Yeah, that answers Larry's question, doesn't it?
Yeah, as to ownership and plan, I mean, I only know a conversation at a high level. So, you know, the plan is to keep the building certain.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, and that may be you know, we have been involved at a very high level initially, so don't have any active involvement currently. But I'm familiar with the building as a whole.
Okay. Adam, does he need to recuse himself from this vote?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any private property rights maybe here.
Correct.
Right, this is more information.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, so to that end, there's. Conversation about it.
Okay, great. Brittany?
Also, when the Colorado Anschutz campus site was posted for demolition, as we posted several of them, this was the only building that generated interest on that demolition level. So I think it would trigger a very large city discussion again. If,
Yeah.
This was demolished at any point. So this has been a long time coming. This
Right.
predates
Mhm.
me here at the city,
Right.
so like over 12 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, so for clarification, whether or not you recommend that the National Register nomination be moved forward or not, if it did come in for demo, and no one's saying it would be reviewed through our demolition review process, and we'd look at it through the lens of the Denver criteria, to see if it were potentially eligible.
But I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, we hope not. Erica?
Are we in deliberation now?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, I just wanted to say that this was like one of the first preservation projects I worked on. I moved back to Denver, and I was a co-author of the Humphrey School report that the nomination was based on, so I'm also very familiar with the building. I'm really glad to see that finally something's happening, and I presume again that as it's actually moving forward in some way, something afoot. I agree with all of staff's comments. I will say that as far as the question of criterion A and looking at this as like the sole surviving building of the medical campus, there's kind of different approaches to that, in that I've worked on projects before where like a power plant for a railroad shops complex is really the only remaining building with integrity, and criterion A was considered, it just wasn't considered strong enough because it just, you couldn't get a sense of the original complex. And I think that's even doubly so in this case. It's sad that it's the only remaining one, and I can understand that, you know, the desire to recognize all that was lost. There were a number of Hornbein buildings that were really great on this campus. They're long gone. But I just think, personally, I think criterion A just is kind of lost because we've lost everything else. But I would agree with criterion C and certainly including women's history. Those are my thoughts.
The thoughts? So, how do you feel, commissioners, how do you feel about Erica's thought about criterion A? We could take it out of this motion if you all agree with her. We can leave it in if you disagree.
I have a tendency to agree. I mean, I
Yeah.
lived nearby when the medical center was still there, and there was some very interesting interior courtyard spaces that were created by the changes over time. And the main hospital building had to have been influenced by people who were familiar with Richard Neutra's work because of the sunshades that were on that building. I don't know who the architect was, but it was very much a great example of mid-century modern architecture as kind of influenced by Richard Neutra's work, for one. And it's just really sad that everything's gone except this. So I hear what Erica's saying, and I guess I wonder whether we should push hard for criteria A, but certainly the influence of women in this particular case should be emphasized.
Yeah, I agree. I think the context of the medical is gone. So I think it brings a strength in that case. It's my thought. Any other thoughts? Okay, then do I hear a motion, and whoever makes a motion can leave A in or take it out? Sounds like we're leaning toward taking it out.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
We'll give it a shot, and if it passes, then we're good to go.
Madam Chair, before you
Yes.
vote, I guess I just have a question.
Sure.
And I'm very ignorant on the statute.
That's okay.
But it says, in the US code, the local historic preservation commission, after reasonable opportunity for public comment, shall prepare a report as to whether the property in the commission's opinion meets the criteria of the National Register. I guess my question, maybe this is for staff too, is has the state provided like a report that listed one criteria? And I guess my question just is it the commission's role to look at what's been provided by the state or to actually supplement what's been provided to the state? I'm just unclear on the process here.
So the nomination is the report that we've received stating the criteria that it's being nominated for. And I believe CLG commenting on those criteria can cover both the criteria that are argued for and any that are left out. That per the National Register criteria.
Again, I don't know. It seemed almost like it does. I don't know, comment on what you can see, but again, I just don't know how the process works.
Well, and I think the other part about the CLG review process is that History Colorado has told us over and over again that our CLGs know our communities better than they might. So they might not always be able to provide the best and most complete advice and guidance to the applicants. So this is a role for a local organization to provide additional feedback.
And we do go through the audit process every year to maintain our CLG status.
So we've done this for other nominations where we suggest they add things, And so far, History Colorado has not said that, oh, you're overstepping or anything.
Okay,
They've-
again, just.
Yeah.
I'm looking at.
No, that's okay.
Mhm.
Great.
All right. Okay, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move to recommend that the National Register nomination for the Denver Nurses Home be forwarded to the Keeper of the National Register of Historic Places, with the recommended edits to include criterion B and areas of significance in social history, women's history, per presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided in the staff report.
Erica, thank you. Is there a second? Gary has seconded it. All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. All right, we have unanimously agreed to send that forward statement with recommendations. And our next and last business item is Match Buff Hall National Register nomination, and Matthew is here to talk to us about that.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matthew Huda, and I'm an associate city planner for the city and county of Denver. This is a National Register nomination for Match Buff Hall on the campus of former Loretto Heights Academy and College, written by James W. Steele. As a certified local government, the city and this commission is required to review and submit any comments on all National Register nominations. Match Buff Hall was completed in 1951, specifically designed to be a student activities building by architect John K. Monroe. An excellent example of modernist architecture, its form and siting follow a master plan for the campus done by S.R. DeBoer. Match Buff Hall is significant at the local level under criterion C for architecture as an exemplary example of modernist architecture. Hallmarks of the style include large expanses of windows connecting the indoors and outdoors, strong horizontal lines, use of modern building materials, lack of ornamentation, flat roof, projecting eaves, and form siding which works with the surrounding environment instead of dominating it while providing function. Match Buff Hall includes all of these elements. Match Buff Hall is also significant in the area of architecture as the work of master architect John Kuykendall Monroe. John K. Monroe was commissioned for hundreds of buildings for the Denver Catholic Diocese, typically new outbuildings or additions reflecting the style of existing buildings in simpler terms, but including Holy Ghost Catholic Church at 1900 California Street, constructed in 1943, and Christ the King Church at 830 Elm Street, constructed in 1961. In the 1940s, the style leaned into the growing popularity of modernism. Match Buff Hall is significant in the area of architecture as a work of master landscape architect Sako Rienk DeBoer. As the official landscape architect of Denver, S.R. DeBoer worked under then Mayor Robert W. Spear to promote the ideas of the City Beautiful movement, designing dozens of city parks and hundreds of private gardens. S.R. DeBoer's master plan and landscape design for the post-war expansion of the Loretto Heights campus reinforced the idea that Match Buff Hall should blend into the hillside and provide uninterrupted vista views of the Rocky Mountains. Could you go to the next slide? The structure retains excellent integrity. The period of significance for this nomination is 1950 to 1951. Small modifications were made, including 3 infilled windows and an extension of the northeast brick wall. There are 2 primary elevations for Match Buff Hall. The quad side, shown on the left, is a 1-story presenting building with heavy horizontal lines tied into the quad by paths designed by S.R. DeBoer. The hillside, shown on the right, is 2 stories with large expanses of windows providing vista views of the Rocky Mountains and connecting indoors and outdoors. The hillside elevation shows more international influences, international style influences compared to the quad facing elevation. Next slide. This is a side-by-side comparison of the quad side illustrating integrity. The left photo is from 1950 and the right photo is from 2023. All architectural features appear intact. Next slide. This is a second side-by-side comparison, this time of the elevation facing westward. Included is a photo from an advertisement illustrating the importance of the views to the design. Staff recommends that details regarding the vista views intentionally afforded by the building siting and form be included in the discussion of integrity. Staff also recommends that additional information regarding the Sisters of Loretto be included in the nomination. While Matchbook Hall is being nominated individually instead of as an addition to the rest of the campus, making it difficult to list under criterion B, the role in the redevelopment of the Loretto Heights Academy and College campus, the Southwest Denver area, and the education of women cannot be neglected. While the Sisters of Loretto sold the school in 1988, they are still active in Denver, having constructed the Mount Loretto Affordable Housing Complex on adjacent land in 2005. Staff recommends this nomination is forwarded to the keeper of the National Register with suggested edits.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? No? Okay, great. All right, doesn't look like we have any public comments. There's nobody here, there's nobody online, so yeah. All right, commissioners, what do you think? Your thoughts?
I'll just say that there's nothing to do about this, but this feels to me like a health sciences center in the making, in the sense of we have this campus with all these buildings that were built to relate to one another, and we're treating them individually, one by one.
Yeah.
And I know there's a reason for it as far as development goes, but we stand to lose things that would be a change to lose. So while I'm really glad to see this going forward, I just
I do have additional if we're ready for that.
I'll just add to that. I know the Pancratia Hall nomination had a lot on the Sisters of Loretto. I mean, they could just take it from that, and use it. So, but I agree with the stuff.
What did you have?
So, Loretto Heights has a planned area, planned unit development on it. Matchbook Hall, the theater, and one other building. In that plan unit development, they are considered historic significant buildings. We do have purview over them, not the same type of purview we do if they're individual Denver landmarks or within Denver Landmark Historic District. But there are areas of the facade that are considered historic and areas of the facade that are considered less historic, and areas that we have already previously identified as areas for potential development, and areas that are not considered as historic. The gymnasium pool building has already been just demolished, but that was considered a building that wasn't historic to the site. For the plan unit development, I review everything that happens out at Loretto Heights, even though I don't bring it to you guys because it's not an individual landmark. the city has acquired the library building, and I do believe there's an open house at some point on what the future is. But Matchbook Hall specifically is gonna be a community center. And there are no changes proposed for Matchbook Hall, other than some interior alterations. And I think a small addition, but that's it.
The community organization is Commune Denver. If anybody's familiar with that.
And Anderson, no, Mason Dale is the architect on this one for this space.
Any other comments, commissioners?
Yeah, I would just comment that, you know, I am in support of nominating the building, but I think it's a lost opportunity, following up on what Eric said, that this is not looked at as a campus.
Yeah.
And that the landscape is equally important in its spatial organization of the buildings. And I think it was a lost opportunity by the owners of these various properties to not look at it holistically. But I am in support of the nomination regardless.
We do have some purview over the central quad too. But none of the rest of the.
It's a typical oversight that landscape architecture is not nominated.
That's, and the views have to be maintained for Nashua to the mountains. There is a sight line for the whole site that requires maintaining the views.
All right. Any other comments before? Sound like it. Do I hear a motion from the commissioners?
Madam Chair, I'm going to recommend that the National Register nomination for Matchbook Hall and Alcohol South of Red Oak be forwarded to the keeper of the National Register of Historic Places with recommended edits to include details regarding listed views and discussion of integrity, and to include additional information on the Sisters of Loretto as a significant group at local, state, and national levels for presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided in the staff report.
Graham, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Gary has seconded it. Let's take a vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, unanimously has been approved for taking it to the keeper. All right. Are there any discussion items?
Just a small one. Okay, I'm sure you noticed a new face at the table. This is Andrew Abbey. He is our staff planner. I believe this is your second week.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
Hi, Andrew.
Andrew is pretty fresh here.
Yep. You haven't scared him off yet?
We have not. So welcome to Andrew. You may or may not see him more regularly at the commission. Not entirely sure yet. But yeah, if you want to introduce yourself at all, that's up to you.
Yeah, I'm coming from the private sector, on the architecture side. I have a master's in architecture, master's in city planning, originally from Buffalo, New York area. Been in Denver for just over a year now, and I'm really excited to be here. So thank you for that. Rick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then as a reminder, we are kicking off our design guideline phase 2 update, and we're focusing on windows. We have a virtual Zoom meeting tomorrow. I have been told by Adam, if more than 5 of you come to that meeting, we're supposed to do it in person. So if you're coming, let me know so we can allocate you appropriately. You can also watch it online, as we'll be recording that. And we're also doing an in-person at Carla Madison on September 12th. I think from 6:30 to 7:30 is the exact same content. Just one is virtual and one is in person. And that will focus on windows. And then eventually we will focus on accessory dwelling units, signage, and then what we're calling small updates, but are not necessarily small updates as they deal with things like accessibility.
All right. Anything else? That's it. Anything else for the good of the order before we adjourn? All right, then I have adjourned the meeting at, I don't know, 25 till 3. Sorry.
So like we're becoming the country club design review. A lot of action, yeah.